Welcome to you. My name's Dale and this is Dale's Addiction. I'm bringing you a Q&A video and this one was requested in my recent Instagram live. If you haven't caught me on an Instagram live before, it's something that I want to do more often. I tend to do it on Australian Eastern Time Saturdays, which I think is Friday night in the Northern Hemisphere, most places, and I tend to get around 20 or 30 people jumping on and having a bit of a conversation. And the topic of my last one was, what kind of videos do you want to see from me? And there was a couple of requests for Q&As, a couple of other things which I have noted down, so I'm very thankful for your suggestions in that regard. Sometimes you guys can challenge me with your video ideas, which I think is fantastic because getting out of your comfort zone is always good for growth. So today's Q&A, I've got quite a few questions. I'm going to try and get through them in a really zippy way so that I don't waffle on. We will see how that goes in the edit, but I'm going to start with the Instagram questions. I also had a couple emailed to me and also some on my YouTube community page as well. And you'll only see that if you're subscribed to my channel. So there's a little tip for you. Okay, the first one is from Brizzleyo. We'll see. How have you been able to stay positive and motivated during the pandemic and lockdowns? Look, thanks for your question. I think the key is to focus on what you can control rather than what you can't control. I have seen people be most unhappy when they're trying to fight against things that they have no control over, and then being so disappointed when things didn't turn out as they had hoped that they would. So what that means for me is that if I'm booking a trip, I'm prepared that that trip's not going to go ahead, that I'm booking trips that are domestic and within my state most of the time, so that in the event that they are cancelled or there are increased restrictions, I can still travel within my state. I recently had a cancellation over Christmas. I chose to do that because it was more of a safety issue per se than necessarily a cancellation that came upon me. But that was something that I booked that trip knowing that it could happen. And when it happened, yes, I was disappointed, but I wasn't, absolutely, emotional wreck. I think a lot of, and it doesn't matter what kind of change or situation it's in, whenever you focus on the things that you can't control, your anxiety will increase and you will find yourself in a place where you're not comfortable and you're not happy. So for me, it's like, what can I do? What can I do today? What might I be able to do tomorrow? What risk am I prepared to take on that? And then, make a decision knowing full well what the possible outcomes are rather than hoping for the best. And I think, at any time in your life, pandemic or not, that's going to be a great way to stay positive and optimistic. Deanna B, what do you think of Loewe bags? I don't know a lot about Loewe bags. The bags that do catch my eye from Loewe are definitely the puzzle bag, and Connor has the beautiful puzzle bag. I think his is in the small, but it does look like a medium size in the lovely caramel colour. And I think if I was to go for another caramel bag, that would be a great option for me because it's actually broken up with the geometric puzzle print. I did have the Jungle Green mini puzzle in my cart. I actually bought it from My Teresa. I had the order in and then I went and saw that little Gucci and I quickly emailed My Teresa customer service and cancelled it because this one is kind of more up my alley. So I love the puzzle and I'm curious about the puzzle. I also really like their basket bags, so their beach bags, the bigger beach bags. I really like those, particularly the ones that have the leather woven through them. I've been watching Josie from Fashion Mumbler and her Maldivian escape from the UK at the moment, and she's been using her bag and it looks really beautiful. At least I hope that's Loewe and it's not her Chloe one. Diona also asks, what are the differences between working for yourself and working for another? I guess I don't even know where to start with this question, and I haven't rehearsed these questions, obviously. Okay, a couple of key differences that I learned early on is that if you think you've got a lousy boss now, wait till you start working for yourself. The idealistic view around working for yourself is that you will set your working hours, your rates, and your clients and the work that you do, and in those early days you have a bit of that anxiety around the uncertainty. You don't know if you're going to get work, and can you afford to be fussy, and do you want to price yourself out of the market? And so you actually sign yourself up for all of the crappy jobs that your old boss was probably giving to you, but the only person you've got to blame for it is yourself. Fast forward to 6 or 7 years down the track where I am now, and I've had to put in place some really strict boundaries to make working for myself worth it. And what that means is I have reduced the amount of services that I offer from everything that I'm qualified to do to just 4 key things. Secondly, I have very strict ideas around what a day of work looks like in terms of how many hours is in a day and what a half day is. I know the opportunity cost of committing to some work over other work, and so I make sure that my pricing reflects that. I've had to put strict boundaries in, like I don't like to work on Fridays for a number of reasons. It's kind of a legacy from when my husband used to work in a different state, so our weekends were really constricted and Fridays gave us time to catch up together. But I like to kind of maintain that. So Friday is emergencies only, but usually I don't work on Fridays. And another thing that I've tried to put in place is that I don't like to travel too much for work. And the reason for that is because travel is dead time. And yeah, I could work and I could bill that time, but what suffers when I travel for work is the discipline in my home life in terms of what I'm eating, how I'm exercising. I've got additional costs because I've got to have my pets taken care of. I've got to condense all of those home duties that I would do throughout the week into my weekends, and it just affects quality of life. And I think if you're going to take the risk of working for yourself, there should be some benefits, and you should be really disciplined around what those benefits are, so that yes, you struggle in the hard times, but you absolutely thrive in the good times. Perstopia, always great to hear from you, C. Would you carry a high street bag again? This is a really great and confronting question, and I can always count on Perstopia for these questions. Would I? Yes. In what circumstances, I guess, is the question. I have a lot of bags now, and so that means that I think I mentioned it in a video previously, things that I no longer buy. It might be 5 things I no longer buy or something like that. If I can find it, I'll link it above. But because I have experimented a lot with high street brands when I was before I discovered that I could afford to buy luxury bags. I replaced all the bags that I liked, the styles that I liked, with luxury bags or designer bags. So therefore I don't have a selection of contemporary bags here that would tempt me to choose one of those over what I've got sitting around me. And I realise that's a super fortunate position to be in. What I have learned is that when I go and buy contemporary bags with this collection sitting around me, that I don't reach for them. So I guess the answer to that is I probably wouldn't at this point in time, and it's nothing on contemporary bags. It's just that if I've got all this around me, why would I go and shop a bag that I know that I won't choose over the bags that I have in my closet here? Okay, Jane loves LV. Hi Jane. What are your favourite 3 cities in America? It can be ones you've been to or just want to visit in the future. Well, definitely New York City. I have been to New York 3 times, once with a friend, once with my husband, and once on my own. And I enjoyed each trip, but I have only been in the spring, summer. I'm not a winter holiday person. I would like to visit in the fall, though. I think that would be quite beautiful. And for a tropical Queenslander like myself, the weather might be doable. In terms of other cities that I'd love to visit, I'd love to visit Chicago. I love the whole vibe of Chicago. The food scene, I know it's cold and windy, but I'd love to go to Chicago. And I've been to LA, I haven't been to San Fran, but a place that I've been to Vegas and I don't rate it. Another place I'd love to visit, well, 2 places actually, is Seattle, because of the grunge history. And I've heard so much about Seattle, and I've never been, so I'd really like to go. And I know the weather's mostly miserable, but that's fine. And Washington DC, again, for the history and the vibe, and just to take it all in, because it's so monumental. Okay, Val Kristen, we need more photos of the Gucci bag, please. I have to laugh because the very next screenshot I got is, when are you going to sell the green Gucci bag, from my girlfriend who hates it? So I'm going to take that as a comment or a request and say, yes, Val, I will definitely be putting up more photos of the green Gucci. And no, Katrina, I will not be selling that bag anytime soon. This one's from Craig Streetman. Hi, Craig. Craig has been following my channel for a long, long time. How do you deal with work life, social media life balance, plus personal life too? I think, without trying to simplify it too much, I think that none of those things exists in a vortex, and so they all are integrated. I think one of the fallacies of trying to balance work and life is that they're 2 separate things when you only have one life. And so if you add social media to that, it just means that you are constantly reprioritizing your time to make sure that you're where you need to be when you need to be there. And so for me, how do I do that? I guess part of it is that I schedule my videos for early in the morning, and so when I wake up early, and I'm talking 5:30 a.m. my time, I generally wake up around that time, and then that gives me a good kind of waking up, seeing how people are responding to the video or my Instagram post from the night before, and that's when I do all my responses. And then I might check in again in my later afternoon, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, which I find again people are coming back out of a sleep cycle and they're doing the same as what I do. So that's kind of where I do most of my social media time. And then work and personal life, as I said in the question before about work, I've got some strict boundaries about work, and so then that leaves social and personal life for the balance of the time, which is fantastic. And my husband's work requires him to be quite flexible as well, whether he's at home or he's traveling. And so, we see so much more of each other than we ever have before. We get to actually have meals together more than twice a week, which is, I know, crazy for some people, but for us, that's a big difference in the time that we get to spend together. Fiona, what would be your death row dinner, with a smiley face emoji? Oh, my death row dinner. A Grimaldi's pepperoni pizza? All this talk of New York City. And a pistachio praline gelato from Messina, and a bottle of sparkling champagne in a rosé, so perhaps like the Veuve Rosé or the Bilcart Rosé or Laurent Perrier rosé champagne, something like that. Yep, that would be my death row dinner. Great question. Photographer.slm. Hi Sabine. How old were you when you bought your first luxury brand item and what was it? It's packed away, but if I can find a picture of it, I'll bring it down. But my first luxury brand item, so I have to be... Actually, I don't have that anymore. I bought a pre-loved Burberry tote bag. I think I've got some photos of me carrying that in New York, and that was in 2012. And I bought it from eBay, and I loved it. It had the kind of magenta trim with the Novacek pattern. So it had the pink, but with the checks. So they were kind of neutral. Yeah, I loved that bag. And I'd say I was 31. The Closet by Connor. Hey, Connor. How does the whole Peloton process work? Purchasing, subscriptions, etc. I am going to do a separate video on that, but basically I got caught on, I think it was an Instagram ad. They had a Boxing Day sale and it was saving $450 or something like that for the Bike Plus model, and I had added it to cart quite a few times, and then as it got closer to the new year, I was like, we didn't go anywhere for Christmas. I had a miserable Christmas. I feel miserable about myself. You know, typical welcome to the new year kind of conversation in your head. I'm going to buy this thing because it's the price of that Gucci bag, right? And what can it potentially do for me and my health and my mood and convenience and all those things. So yeah, I just bought it online, and then there are a series of communications from Peloton saying, we've got your order, we'll be in touch. And then another one confirming. I'll go through it all in an email, but in a video, but great communication, installation process, and yeah, as you mentioned, a monthly subscription for up to 5 people on one account, which I think is really good value. Trinket KS, what's the best way to care for vachetta leather? Is there a way to even out patina? Look, I'm not a bag care expert, so I can probably only answer that from my own perspective. The best way to care for it, in my opinion, and I think I got this advice from an old Minx for All video, was whenever I buy something that is not in treated vachetta, that I open up these shutters, so they're currently like half shut, and I open up these shutters and I hang the bag on the French door that I have here and expose it to light. And what that does is it gives the bag a chance to create its own even patina. I do that for a couple of weeks and you see it go from that really blonde to quite a honey tone. In terms of evening out any vachetta stains, I have not played with bags to do that. I would just say probably sun and light exposure would help with that. If it's watermarks though, like they're very difficult. I guess if you wanted to even out watermarks, you'd probably just get those water baby wipes and add more moisture so that it actually darkens the patina overall. But I'm not an expert on that, so full disclosure. Ash at Lux. Hey Ash, do you have any blue bags? Is that a colour you want to add to your rainbow collection? Yes, Ash, I do have blue bags. Where have you been hiding? I've got my blue capucine up the top there with the shoo handle. I've got my blue denim Louis Vuitton Speedy 25. I've got that rainbow coloured Pochette Voyage from Louis Vuitton as well. And I have my blue denim Chanel seasonal flap from the 20C collection. So I have plenty of blue and I love it. I actually want to add more blue clothing to my collection because you guys have been really lovely in giving me feedback that blue really suits me. So I want to put more blue in my collection. Daniel Melbourne. Hi Daniel. Do you think it's excessive to have a diamond clasp on a Birkin? I think Birkins are excessive, Daniel. So I actually think the diamonds are fine. It's the Birkin that I have the issue with. Swatters 2001. Have you tried Botox or fillers? Would love your thoughts on your experience. Yeah, I have tried not Botox, but like Dysport. I think they're similar but the same. But I tried it in here and you can see it's wearing off. So I think it lasted about 6 months. That was my I turned 40 crisis moment. And I would get it again. I had a great experience. I know that they tell you don't see the full effect for 2 weeks. And then I walked out and I'm taking a selfie before and a selfie after. I'm like, I can't see the difference. And then it happened and I was like, wow, it makes a really big difference. So yeah, I will get that done. And I do want to get some kind of, I think it's one of those things that once you start, you've got to be really careful to make sure, for me anyway, I never want to look plastic. So yes, but yeah, I had a great experience with Dysport and I would do it again. What is your next bag from beloved Chanel? I'd love to, well, you're asking me right now, and right now is, what is the date today? It's like the 24th of January. I love that LV Kusan bag that I tried on in the orchid colour. I definitely want a Petit Mal, but I don't know when that's going to come. And a Fendi baguette, still waiting. Lots and lots of hype around the new Fendi collection and the new Fendi drops. I'm really excited to see what comes. Anoa.187, I want promo on your page. Yeah, no. Holly Grace Skerritt, I'm 26 this year. What would you tell your 26-year-old self? Oh, don't get married? Yeah, I would have been engaged when I was 26. Lovely man. We just shouldn't have gotten married. Know your worth. As in the time that you put into things and what you expect in return for that time, whether that's in your friendships or whether that's in your workplace. 2 things, I probably never really had full confidence in myself until my early 30s, I'd say, knowing what I could bring to the table, so to speak. Dear Eyes 79, do you watch true crime shows? No. I don't. I had to think about it because I'm like, do I like... I used to a long time ago. Probably not anymore. I don't watch a lot of TV, to be honest. I watch a lot of YouTube, and when we watch TV, we, as in my husband and I, then it's usually something that we want to watch together. But I do have a secret addiction to watching mortician videos. I know. So that's kind of the truest of true crime, right? Maybe not the crime part always, but... mme.bizzle. Once we can travel freely, where would you travel and which bags would you take? Oh, travelling freely. Well, I'd love to do a driving trip around the UK, which I guess would mean I'd be very restricted on bags. So I definitely take my Louis Vuitton Neverfull GM as my, throw everything in it. I would definitely take my wok, my Chanel wok, because that one is a great day to night option. I would probably take, I'm just looking at it now, this Prada Reedition 2005, because it's another great day to night option and it's fairly weatherproof. And I'd take a Fendi Peekaboo as well with the straps that I have and the Defender cover, so that that would give me a lot of options for just one bag. Simone Holtz, 23. Hi, I'm new to your lovely page and YouTube channel. Tell me a little bit about yourself, work and family. I've probably answered this question before in a Q&A, so I'll be very brief. A bit about myself. I'm 41 years old. I work for myself. I'm in change and leadership consulting. I have been on YouTube for almost 2 years in April. I don't have any children of my own, but I have 3 stepchildren. And I'm happily married and almost have been for 10 years. I live in Brisbane, Queensland, and I'm addicted to handbags. Amy Brando, were you always driven and motivated? Did you do well in school? Great question. I don't think I am driven and motivated. I think I'm a lazy success, if that makes any sense, where I'm not someone who maps out goals for the year and milestones for those goals and diligently works towards them. I don't work like that. I've always been somebody who, so going back to school, I would say, well, here's how I imagine life for myself. And I guess that informs the decisions that I make day to day. So I kind of set the horizon and then I work toward that place. And usually when I'm there, I'm already focused on the next horizon. It's rarely that you look back and go, oh, look at what I have achieved over the course of the last 5, 10 years or a lifetime. I was mediocre in school, in high school, so year 7 to 10. But year 11 and 12 I really thrived because I put myself through year 11 and 12. I know. And so I think, being solely accountable for how I performed in school really drove my commitment to it, and I actually really loved it. So whenever I've studied since, I've done particularly well, but that's because I have chosen to do that study and I've been paying for it, and I have standards for myself. Cara T Queen, I love your videos, thank you. I find your necklace very interesting. Would you share about it? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I'm assuming it's probably not this one, which I've literally just bought, and I'll review that, but that's from Oaken Luna, which is a gold name necklace. I think you're probably talking about this other combo. Just a second. So this one here that I wear all the time, this is a beautiful white gold chain that I got off some other jewellery. And then on it, I've got, let me just try and focus that. So it's a Tiffany lock, a Return to Tiffany little sterling silver lock that one of my best friends gave me when we were travelling in New York together, the trip that I mentioned earlier. And she wears hers. Hers is gold on a chain around her neck, and so I did the same. And this is a Bulgari B0 ring. And if you are new to my channel, you wouldn't know that 2020, I had a situation where I had to get my rings cut off my finger, and this one was slightly damaged in the process. And if you know Bulgari, you can't get them resized, and I've been a bit scared to put it back on, especially in the summer months, and so it's always just sat around my neck. And both things mean a lot to me. One's from my husband and one's from my friend, and I like the look of them together. And so that's just something that I really enjoy wearing. Thanks for noticing. A few of you have asked. And I guess that kind of lends itself to, my views around Cartier and Van Cleef and Arpels jewellery. I think it's lovely and feminine, but having something a little bit different is really interesting. Okay, we're getting there, and I think I'm being really quick, and we've still got 30 minutes on the clock. This is a question from Jenna. Hi, Jenna. This is a question for the Q&A. What do you think of the understated Celine belt bag? It comes in 4 sizes and many colours. I'm thinking of the grey and the middle size. Your new Gucci also makes me want the nano size. What do I think about it? I actually think this is quite a cute bag in that size, but I don't want to offend anybody. it reminds me a little bit of Senrev. Is that... I know it doesn't have the buckle, but just how it, like the flap closes and the shape of it, like the little kind of looks backpacky kind of shape. I love it in that grey. I think it is definitely understated, and it depends what you want to use it for, I suppose. Yeah, but if you want my honest opinion, it wouldn't be for me, just because of the shape of it. But I do like that grey colour. So if you love it, I think grab it for sure. This next question is from Monjo. Hi Dale, is hubby a romantic and affectionate person? Does he bring you chocolates or a small bunch of flowers for no reason? He is romantic and affectionate, but he does not bring me flowers or chocolates. He brings me a coffee and a croissant in bed on a Saturday morning. He buys me gifts from the dogs for Mother's Day, things that make me feel special, and they always make me laugh. So, does he often give you a quick hug and kiss on the cheek? I wish that's all it was. Yes, he does. In the same context, what is marriage for you both? To me, marriage is being on the same team, I think. Marriage is definitely not for us being married to your best friend. We have friends and we have each other, and that is different to a friendship. And I think that helps to keep... it helps to keep you who you are. I think a lot of people lose themselves in relationship, and you often find that when something happens and that relationship breaks down, they don't know who they are because they've only ever been, a part of this relationship. And I think something that I've learned, and there's psychology behind that as well, but something that I've learned certainly in marriage, in our marriage, is that it works to have a marriage that is sacrosanct and friendships that are outside of that marriage. And certainly there are things that I don't share in my friendships that come from my marriage, and vice versa. And that I'm a person that's in relationship with each of those people. I'm not the sum of those relationships, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Okay, we're on the downward straight. I might have to split this one in two. If you could go back and visit 20-year-old Dale, what 3 pieces of advice would you share with her? And that one's from Mandy Reardon. Hi, Mandy. Mandy is always commenting on my channel. It's probably similar to Holly's question earlier. But 20-year-old Dale, she had taken a big plunge. She had moved far, far away from home, and she spent all of her money and all of her leave going back home. So I probably would have said to her, don't feel guilty because you left. Take this time and the money that you have to explore the world, and do it now as a 20-year-old rather than waiting until you're in your 30s and you think you can afford to do it. And dump that guy. He cheated on you. Mela. And Mela was the winner of my Louis Vuitton giveaway. Is there a bag that got away and you're still hunting for it? No. I jump on all my babies as soon as I get the chance. Do you binge watch anything? I'm obsessed with Succession right now. Yeah, any TV I watch, I generally binge watch it if it's available to binge. So over the Christmas break, my husband and I binged Yellowstone, and we loved it, and I can't wait for the next season. We recently binged on Paramount Plus 1883, which is the prequel to Yellowstone. We binged The Outlander. We binged The Last Kingdom. We haven't gotten into the Game of Thrones thing yet. I don't think he's committed to doing, 6 long seasons. I don't know how many times I've binged Sex and the City. Emily in Paris. I've started Billions and I quite like it. I binged Sopranos. So, yeah, definitely. Styled by Gwenny. Hi, Gwenny. And if you don't know Gwenny, she has her own YouTube channel, so go check her out. Are you ever in a situation where you think, I wish I had a contemporary / unbranded bag? No. No, I'm not. I don't do the down low. I don't do the understated. I'm not worried about security. I think I take enough precautions with how aware I am, how I carry myself, how I carry my bags, where I put them. No. Do you feel the prices luxury brands charge for fabric bags? Hey, you scratching an itch. This is Gwenny as well. Chanel denim LV 1854 is proportional to the leather versions. Well, I think the prices are definitely proportional. I don't think they're any cheaper, to be honest. One of the big gripes that I have with Fendi at the moment, Gwenny, is that the Fendi canvas baguette, which I love in the Zucca print, is the same price as the leather version. And that really annoys me because on the one hand, I say fabric bags are worth their weight in gold, right? The same as leather bags are. But that is an uncoated canvas bag. It's not woven. It's not hand woven or beaded, or it's not, it's probably mass produced. And it's the same price as a leather bag. So that one, yeah, it's proportional, but I don't think it's okay. When it comes to say that Speedy in the denim that I just bought compared to a canvas Speedy, I'd say that's worth more in my opinion because the details on it are more original and it's limited. That's my thinking. Whether or not it makes any sense, you could be the judge of that. Caddy, hi. If you designed a bag, what would it be? What would it be made of and look like, etc.? I would design a Fendi baguette that had a slightly longer crossbody, not too long, but a bit longer so it wasn't, under my boob. It would be a fabric style. It might be printed. It might have some graffiti kind of tones on it. It might be a mix of leather and, say, like tweed or patchwork kind of thing. It would have the option of of a couple of straps so that you can have your hand carry. You could have your crossbody, as I mentioned before, but you could also strap. Anura has just bought a strap for her Fendi mini baguette, which is a phone case which goes across the strap, which looks really cool, so it gives that multi-pochette look. So yeah, in terms of colours, I think it could be, maybe denims. That'd look good. Yeah, maybe denims. M. Stern asks, how come your husband is on board with your spending? My husband sees my luxury addiction as frivolous and silly, and each time I want to make a purchase, I have to figure out how to get him on board. I asked him this question last night when it came through, and he said to say, I knew what I was getting into. We don't ask each other permission to buy things. And we share our finances, so it's not like it's my money and his money, but we do consult with each other. If it's a significant purchase and it's going to have an impact on some other, goals that we have, then we'll talk about timing, but we won't talk about should we or shouldn't we. So that's how it works. Mandy Reardon asks again, what's your favourite genre of music? This is the penultimate question, and I think I've said before, anytime I get a chance to say penultimate, I will. My favourite genre of music, look, I love 90s R&B. I love pop music. I also love chill vibes, like John Butler Trio, Jack Johnson, Pete Murray. That's what I love about Peloton, Mandy, is that I can just go and pick my workout by the playlist, and there's a Beyonce playlist, and there's a Britney playlist, and there's 2000s pop rides and 90s pop rides and 90s R&B rides, and like, oh, I just love it. It's fantastic. A little bit of trivia, I actually walked down the aisle to Halo by Beyonce, so I love my pop. And the final question is from Gorgeous S79. Have you been to Tasmania? Is that a trick question? You might be new here, but I grew up in Tasmania, so I've definitely been there. I visited again last year in June, and I have a vlog on my channel, which I will link above, of some of the highlights of our trip down there. So that's it for the Q&A. I'm looking at 42 minutes. I'm hoping that I can slice and dice this up a little bit and put it all in one video. Thank you for your questions. If you have any more, don't hesitate to slip into the DMs on Instagram or comment below, and I can make this a more regular thing so that it's shorter and more concise. But if you're new around here, I put out videos on Wednesdays and Sundays usually with some extras, so if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.